Hello everyone and welcome back to Destiny. Today we got our final This Week in Bungie before the release of Destiny 2, and it's chock full of really important information, including dates of the raid, the first trials, and some really great information about how Engrams are going to be working in Destiny 2 to help you with that power progression. There's a fair amount to cover here, so let's jump into it. So of course, let's first go over those really important dates that you're going to want to keep in mind going into launch. The first Nightfall will be immediately available, so that means as long as you can get yourself powerful enough in time, you can take it on in the first week. The next important date is for the raid. It starts at 10 AM Pacific Time, September 13th, that's the Wednesday after launch. It's exactly 1 week to get prepared. And then the first trials, surprisingly, goes live on September 15th. That's 2 days after the raid at 10 AM Pacific as well. So if you're interested in hitting the raid day 1 or even trials the day 1 since power matters, you have that first week to get through the campaign and up your power as much as possible. Now moving on, we got some really interesting information about guided games. In fact, it will not be launching with the release of the game. Instead, it's going to be releasing on September 26th at 10 AM. Now, the reasoning Bungie gave for this was that they expect there to be a lot of solo players in the first bit of launch, and they don't want the system to basically not function. So they're going to give us the first week or so to get into clans and to kind of get associated with the different systems in the game, and then they're going to roll out a beta for the guided games on September 12th at 10 AM. For that beta, they're going to be giving around 50% of players seeker access, depending on how much clan participation you have in the first week. And even that will only be guided games for the Nightfall. The complete access for Nightfall and raid guided games will of course be September 26th. Curiously though, Trials is not part of that conversation. Maybe they're just waiting to see how Trials goes, but maybe that's something that comes on later on down the road. Next up, we got some really handy information that will no doubt help us in that power climb. We got some hints about this earlier in the week from Mark Noseworthy's tweet, informing us that the game will automatically figure out our maximum possible power when determining the power of your next engram decryption. Well, today, in an interview with investment designer Daniel Akinpaw, hopefully I didn't butcher that last name, we now know how that's going to be working exactly. First, the power of the reward is determined right when the engram is dropped. So it seems like the game will always know your maximum possible power, even if you left your best gear in the vault or perhaps gave it to one of your other characters. And if you have any doubts, you can now view the power of the engram right from your menu. You can see that right here in the first official look at the Destiny 2 inventory screen. We see a row of 10 slots for your engrams and then your regular inventory down below. In a video that I posted earlier this week that is no longer online, I mentioned that this has a couple significances to it. First up, engrams are no longer going to be taking up space in your gear slots, which is really handy. And the fact that there's only 10 slots isn't really that big of a deal, because it looks like a lot of the gear you get in-game will be auto-decrypting out in the field. We don't know if that second part is 100% true, but it definitely looks to be that way. Anyways, in the interview, we had a really interesting statement given that kind of sums up a lot of really great information. When asked about how we determine the power of the drops, David mentions that rewards determine their power at the time they're earned. This means that when an engram drops in Destiny 2, it decides its power at the time that it drops. Also, when we roll rewards, we look at your character's level and your best possible gear to determine the power of the reward. This is true for Crucible end of match rewards, engram drops, strike rewards, etc. Note that some sources can still produce better gear than others. Once you're exploring endgame content, look for the powerful gear rewards and the tooltips if you're hunting the best drops, so you can guarantee to receive gear that will be at your light or higher. So it looks like the guaranteed big leaps forward will be with powerful gear. If you still have any questions on how this will work, I'll leave a link to the article in the description. It's a very thorough and informative interview, so definitely give it a read. Now, the one thing about this that I think will be a huge deal moving forward between the DLCs and major expansions is that you won't have the ability to hoard engrams. Since the engram's power is determined right at the drop, you won't benefit at all by saving them up. Also, you only have 10 slots anyways, and you presumably won't have the ability to vault them either. I think this is a huge improvement, and all of these are some pretty significant quality of life improvements, which I definitely appreciate. And in other news today, like clockwork, there was another huge leak. In fact, I would call it probably the largest leak to date. Someone is taking some pictures of the Destiny 2 strategy guide, and we're seeing a lot of stuff pertaining to subclasses and a massive list of exotics. At this point, guys, I don't think I'm going to cover that stuff in any detail. The game is right around the corner, and I'll cover all of that stuff when I can actually give you solid info and in-game footage. No more blurry pics for Old Man Foe. I can't wait until next week where we can get into the meat and potatoes of this stuff, the stuff the channel was founded on, quest guides, weapon reviews, and analysis of everything in Destiny 2. So for those still curious, I'll leave a link down below to the Reddit post. Be warned though, this includes some pretty super spoilery stuff, to the point that I really wish I hadn't clicked on some of it, but I guess that's sort of the risk of the job. But anyways, let me know what you think of the changes to Engrams in the comments below, drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe for more Destiny content. And I will see you all next time.